I'd like us to call our monthly meeting of Ag Planning and Tourism Committee meeting to order. Now, normally this would be just start right up to the joint meeting with finance. But since this is our only meeting for the month, we're doing it a little different. We have a short presentation by Ron Nath. And we have to start out by approving the minutes of our last committee meeting.
No, I'm sorry, I'm not agriculture.
Okay. Moved by Nate. Do I have a second?
I wasn't here. I hate second minutes. So I wasn't sitting here.
Well, do we have anybody else here willing to step forward? Campbell, you're here. Were you?
You're fine. I don't know if I. My
Motion-
world's a whirl. I don't know if I was here or not.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, carry. Okay, our first order of business will be Ron. Ron, you're gonna have to keep this short because we got so much going on.
All right, I'm Ron Atkins, but I was here for going after the call. The reason I'm here today is I want to make a request of Washington County to enact a moratorium and eventually a ban on the spreading of biosolid sewage sludge on land within this county. The reason for that is biosolids contain, and proven to contain, PFAS, heavy metals, PCBs, pharmaceutical, industrial chemicals, even nutrients, but they can be negative if they're applied to pick a measure. Currently, New York State has, and EPA, EC and EPA, have no real formal measures to control the spreading of biosolids on land. Because of that, a lot of it is, they use the term interim plans or projections and what they're doing. That's all in the process at this point. Reason for that moratorium is to give enough time for these larger agencies to implement some kind of regulation of the biosolids on land. At the present time, Maine has a statewide ban on biosolids. Other states, in large part, started with deer and turkey meat being too high levels in their motor tissue. They put a do not eat ban on the eating of deer and turkey in the last several years ago. Other states are working on it as well. Texas is doing things with that. They've had livestock that was killed, water polluted, and so much so that the state attorney general has filed a suit against an outfit called Synergy, Synagro. It's one of the companies that produce products that are based with biosolids. And as a result, a number of farmers had their land and contaminated with this PFAS and everything else that resulted in really their land becoming worthless. And the death of the livestock. So Texas is one, Connecticut, Michigan, New Hampshire, Maryland, New York counties have also, counties and towns have started to act. Albany County, Schoharie County, currently have moratoriums in place. Towns in Steuben County, Thurston and Tamra have enacted formal local law bans on the spreading of biosolids on land in those communities. Now, currently in Washington County, from what my knowledge is, there's no regulation of biosolids on land application. I've heard from some of the town supervisors that there have been attempts made by companies to offer free or low cost biosolids deemed as fertilizer to be applied to the farmland. They've rejected that from what I'm hearing, but there may have been, I'm not fully aware of all of Washington County, but there may have been other communities that or farmers have been, approached to purchase this fertilizer. I also talked to a gentleman, I won't say his name, but, he's a member of the Right to Farm group here in Washington County. He says that his group was approached at one of their meetings to get their support on the, using biosolid products on their land as a quote unquote soil enhancer. They rejected it, fortunately. But to sum that up, right now it seems like Washington County has what I would call an honor system going. Basically, just say no approach when you're approached by these people. I'm not getting a lot of negativity when I talk to people about, the pros and cons of using biosolids on land. So, but with all that said, cost of living for farmers and many others is going up. Will somebody succumb to a cheap fertilizer down the road? I think the moratorium and the ban certainly would eliminate that concern for that. At least penalize somebody that's gets weak and wants to utilize those products. My estimation, because of that, this honor system that I'm talking about is going to fail at some point. Why is the moratorium ban on biosolids or moratorium ban and biosolid land application white? Currently the lack of regulation by EPA and DEC. There's many things that I'm reading about now that certainly say that there's things are in the works. There's attempts being made. I'm going to cite two quick ones for you. Lee Zeldin, who's the EPA administrator, when asked about PFAS contamination in the sewage sludge being used for fertilizers, he said it's a risk to people who consume milk, eggs, and beef. Certainly would sum up a lot of what goes on here in Washington County. RFK Jr., the health secretary, he also stated regarding PFAS contamination in soil. Sum it up, he's basically saying that they're working with the EPA to potentially ban the use of PFAS in products throughout the country. So there's a lot of what ifs, I guess, is another long and short of that whole thing. And some of the problems that occurred when I mentioned issues that occurred in Texas, in Maine, and so on. Johnson County, if anybody reads up on that, it's a county that was really affected with land application of biosolids. They even declared a state of emergency because of the death of the livestock, water contamination, of major issues that occurred. And I think resulted in that lawsuit by the Attorney General. On a more of a local note, there's a lot of things that are happening right here in Washington County that are of concern to myself, many others in this community. This very moment, there's a effort by Clean Earth / ESME here in Fort Edward. It's a company that does decontamination of what historically has been petroleum-based contamination. Right now, they're claiming that their process can decontaminate PFAS from soil. This permit is asking DEC for a research and development project to be allowed to experiment or do whatever they're going to do to decontaminate 5,000 tons of PFAS contaminated soil. Now, as a result of that, what will happen? Their claim is when they get done with this, the soil is used for, again, recycled out into the world. Now, where's that world going to be? Will it be in Washington County or another unsuspecting community out beyond our reaches. But it certainly starts here, and if once that gets moved, it seems to be somewhat common sense that they'll continue to bring PFAS contaminated soil into Washington County and pose I think, a great risk to us as a county and a member of this state. Okay, there's legal precedent in what I'm talking about has been made. The town of Thurston Thurston primarily in Steuben County has been legally approached by Casella to stop what they were doing with the moratorium and ban. They have won their cases. Actually, Casella withdrew their lawsuit because they just didn't have the legal authority to do it. What I'm referring to, the power is in the local communities in this county, because you're responsible for soil, the water, and the air, the health of the residents of these communities. I think it's imperative that, and I think it seemed obvious to what I've read about, and as I'll certainly offer it up to anybody that wants to review it, that wants to look at what had transpired with that Thurston. I think it's an eye opener. I've talked directly to the town supervisor, that being Mike Bellino, very nice gentleman, more than willing to talk. I talked to Mr. Hall about it. And I'm sure he'd be more than willing to guide this county or anyone else to how to address that particular issue. Now, let's be real. This is a tough time. Money is tight. This is not a good year, from what I'm hearing from a lot of different elements here in the county and beyond. What I found by talking to Mr. Bellino is that a group called that provided legal services to the town was Earth Justice, and he couldn't thank them enough for what they did. Even, I don't know what your thoughts on it are, but the Sierra Club did a major water test of the land within that area and where there had been some exposure to the biosolids being placed. And that water test proved that any land around that within a certain range had a higher level of PFAS contamination in it. So that was extremely helpful in this process of what they did. So, and there's other people, I think, within this county, there's people that are certainly worldly enough and willing to assist the county in addressing this issue. Now, we're not foolish people here. It takes much longer to talk about this subject than 5 minutes. All I'm asking is that there's be something set up, or a group set aside, establish that to put a moratorium together. I've got templates for a moratorium. I think certain people are going to be working on that or indicating they will. At this point, prevention is crucial. Once that stuff hits the ground, the party's over. There's a risk, or even if the farmers don't use it, there's runoff, there's all kinds of issues that can develop from this stuff being applied to the land. I'm not asking to change what we're currently doing and addressing the sewage sludge and on a county level, but the change needs to be, because we go back to the right to farm group. The sewage sludge that guy was presenting to him, who's coming out of Boston. This stuff is not local. It's stuff that's coming from major places. In conclusion, I'd like to offer myself or my contacts to the county and trying to help them to further this effort to prevent the spreading of sewage sludge on land. And at the end of the day, Washington County is an agricultural, tourist-based county that is highly dependent. It's not, we don't have Lake George or Great Escape or all the other touristy type places in this county. The issue is we want to preserve what we're good at. That's farming. We got a beautiful county. I want to see that preserved. And so if that could be the end result to this, until something gets done, as I mentioned with this gentleman earlier, if they could figure out a way to deal with PFAS in the soil, that would be great. But right now, they don't have it. And this moratorium and a ban, till they do so, I think is crucial. I think it needs to be done. And I'm asking your support to do that.
Thank you, Ron. I have a question over here from our chairman, Bob Enke.
Banning stuff is really easy. We can talk about banning everything from firearms to milking cows. There are people calling for bans all the time. You're not offering a solution here. What do you do with this stuff? As long as you guys keep on using shampoo and buying your foods in plastic packages, you're gonna have PFAS into the waste stream and into the sewage. What do you wanna do with it? Where does it go?
Well, far be it for me to think that I'm smart enough to ever come up with that resolve, but I do know this, that there's many people throughout this country that are trying to make an effort to figure out a way to deal with that. I'm just saying that before we go down that rabbit hole of applying to land, we need to step back and allow these people that are to go ahead and figure that out. And as I said with RFK Jr.,
He doesn't have any solutions either. People have
Well,
the same thing.
they're working on Tylenol right now, so I mean, PFAS is a bigger issue. At the end of the day, though, I think it's, I can't see a huge cost in banning it. You're preserving the health of your residents.
I wasn't arguing against banning it. I just, we tend to jump up and down the rail about we're gonna ban this, ban that. We
Oh,
don't
yeah,
get beyond that step. And the next step is what do you do with it?
Yeah.
And if we're, instead of composting our sewer sludge over there, what are you gonna do with it?
No, Mr. Hanky, I'll tell you this, it's not just that. Now, I'll give you.
Well, that's just an example.
Wait a minute. I don't want to get into debate with this. You wanted the presentation. We got a lot ahead of us. I know John had his hand up. But here's what I wanted to say is, Ron, I appreciate you bringing this to our attention. I think it's a serious matter. And I think every supervisor here is going to do a little more research onto it. Now, I had asked Dana Hogan, and I don't know if he's had a chance. I haven't spoke to him since. When we looked into banning solar farms, it couldn't be done at the county level, it had to be done at the town level. Now, I don't know if he had a chance to talk to the county attorney. Is this something can be dealt with at a,
I haven't spoken.
yeah,
I
so
left the other day.
can we
Left early.
put this on hold and do some more research amongst ourselves? I think you're very knowledgeable and you brought a lot here to the table. But I really would like to end this to get back. And I know this is not gonna be, I don't want any debate, any comments other than if you had something.
I do have something to add. My name is Matt Jones. I'm from Fort Ann. I've been involved in Washington County agriculture for at least 40 years. I have a small seed company and I do some agronomy work in Fort Ann. The PFAS that you're talking about, Mr. Hinkie, there is a way to remove them already. And I say, put the burden on Casella. They want to make money on this product. I've got pages of research from the University of Maine, from Cornell. I've got at least 200 pages in the.
Can you leave a copy of that with the county clerk?
I can bring you anything you want.
Well, no, that way anyone that wants to go further with this has that information available.
Sure.
Okay,
I'll
and
leave what I-
Ron, you can leave your number, and I'm sure you have with some supervisors. But I don't want this to, we've already been
I would
20
like
minutes.
One brief comment here, because I have a whole outline, but when we remove the PFAS from this material, we create something, we create something called micro and nano biochlor. these products, they're microscopic, and they actually, depending on soil pH, they can reduce the ability of roots to do uptake nutrition. I don't think this is something that should be studied long term. This needs to be done right away. It actually reduces the fertility of the product. And it creates, I mean, we can use pyrolysis and remove the pepas. We can do that.
You've already said more than I can understand.
Well, I can.
And so I've got to shut this down and I don't want to be
Okay.
rude about it. I appreciate
But I think
everything.
this is an imperative thing that. this is
Yes,
done
and then
quickly.
I understand the importance of it.
One sentence.
One
Solar-
sentence.
Solar panels and PFAS land application, apples and oranges.
That's not the point. The point is the laws. The laws of what the county can do.
Is.
The town level, you have home rule law and the town level has that, but I don't know without the county attorney if this is something that be done at the county level. But you sent a message to what 15 supervisors that's heard this, and I think it's important. And I appreciate your time and effort to be here.
Thank you.
But now, John, do you have to say anything or can I close this?
I have one quick question.
Question or comment? Then now talk to him afterwards, please.
Okay, I was just wondering if that PFAS is mixed with any other fertilizer.
Yep, talk to him afterwards. Sam,
Chairman.
question or comment?
It's a comment and question both.
Okay,
You know, that we have individuals that want to come and talk to something. We tell them at our full board meeting to come to our committee meeting. They come to talk on a specific issue,
right.
and then we shut them down.
Now, I've not shut him down.
Well,
I-
you did, you just
We
told.
gave him 5 minutes.
He asked for 5 minutes. We gave him almost 20 minutes.
The reason Mr. Jones is here is because the supervisor from 40, and like any other supervisor, asking a resident to come to talk about it because it's something that we are introducing in our town. Okay, because we do have
Okay.
town rules. But
Okay,
that information we like to share with the other supervisors.
and you did.
So they have no, we haven't. You shut him down. Mr. Jones didn't get a chance to finish.
He said he had his final comment.
No,
Is what he
Mr.
said.
Jones is a gentleman
Oh,
in the back,
Mr.
not the guy in the front.
Okay, here,
Okay.
Sam, I'll tell you what, let's clear this up. I'm running this committee meeting. I thank you
I
for your
understand.
input.
I understand. Standing guard.
Thank you, gentlemen. Now, is there anything that has to be dealt with at our ag planning meeting before we do a joint meeting, Debbie? Or
I think Laura's gonna.
can we do everything in the joint meeting? Everything else? Okay. Brian,
You've got regular business, don't you, Laura?
Yes, do you want me to do that now or the joint meeting?
Yeah, he just asked for regular business first.
Okay.
we're in regular business.
Regular business. Okay, I actually have two things. At committee, I think it was last month, I mentioned that Northeast Rail, we are advocating for the need to study the assets of Northeast Rail, how they can be repurposed. To that end, we applied for a CFA grant. The town of Salem was the lead applicant, the county was co-applicant, and I said at the time, the intention was not to use any, so there's two towns, Salem and Greenwich in the county, not to use match money from any of those entities, but to try and use a Greenway grant to provide the match to the ESD grant. The Greenway grant is due in October. So basically, I'm looking for permission to apply for the Greenway grant, which would then offset or negate any funding that the county or the two towns would have to come up with. So looking for permission to apply.
Make the motion.
Motion by Jay, seconded by Brian. Discussion.
That includes the need for me to sign something, so include that.
Debbie's got it. Oh, sorry, yeah, so sign a support letter. And we do not need a resolution. The town has to have a resolution because they are a lead applicant. We're just submitting a support.
But we need a support letter from me, so just make sure that's included in it.
So what is this resolution if you don't need a resolution?
It's a motion to allow Bob to sign the support
So
letter.
strictly
and
the
apply-
mo-
and
okay.
Apply for the
And
grant.
that's what
They
you're
want that
wanting.
money for that.
Perfect.
Okay. Any discussion on this matter?
Thank you.
All in favor, say aye. Opposed, carry. Is that
No, one more thing.
Okay.
I hope I have enough of these. Let me share. So, broadband. We've talked ad nauseum about the 664 million in federal funding that came to New York State to deploy what was intended to be fiber to every single unserved home in the state. I mentioned that at the beginning of this year with the new FCC chair, the FCC chair negated a lot of the previous administration's rules on what was and was not allowed to be included in any proposals coming from any providers. The two main things that affected New York were it previously, the only technology that was eligible was fiber and licensed fixed wireless. This added satellite as being eligible for federal funding. And I believe I said at the time that that was likely to be licensed to put Starlink everywhere. Second thing it affected is the federal regulations stopped New York State from mandating $15 a month broadband for all low-income households, which would have been all of Washington County, because one of the eligibility rules said that anybody that was eligible for school lunch would be eligible for low-income broadband, and that's every single school district in the county. So therefore, there were no broadband providers that could afford to operate if the maximum revenue they would get was $15 a month. So federal regulations changed to say each company had to offer a low income option, but didn't dictate how much that should be. So subsequent to that, the state put out RFPs, continued to work on whittling down the number of eligible sites in each county across the state. And the colored map that you have in front of you is the ultimate result. Anything that you see in dark blue is fiber, which in our case is 234 locations in the Granville, Whitehall, Hampton area. Everybody else gets Starlink. Period.
So
That's
Dave
it.
gets fiber and the rest of us get satellite.
Correct. Cost per passing of those locations was $26,000 per household. Cost per passing of the Starlink applications was $1,500 per household. I also personally find it fascinating. If you look where the majority of the dark blue dots are, what a surprise, it's downstate.
But we didn't get deep.
But it's up, so the curveball that says is that two things is number one, is that Hampton used to have no one. Now we have three because Verizon's providing this service in Hampton, and Whitehall and Granville, and they don't have any lines anywhere near there. We don't know how we're gonna get there. Anyhow, the second thing is I think as a lot of people found out is Starlink in this area is not as useful as it was because it needs more line of sight. I think you had some issues. I know other people had issues. They have to go up 50, 60 feet to get up high enough, get a clear view of the skies.
So I just because again, it's budget time and what I am going to try and do at this point, as you all are aware, we set aside, it was $537,000 of ARPA funding for broadband, which at the time was intended to allow those people who had no option other than the higher orbit satellites that are an even less viable alternative than a low orbit satellite like Starlink. It was intended to get them equipment. We still have a tad over $500,000 in that fund. As you know, we've also simultaneously, we on our own got a $1 million USDA grant, which funded Hudson Valley Wireless to change the equipment on 17 towers, which gives them the capacity to deliver what is now considered broadband level speeds. So licensed fixed wireless being a more reliable technology than satellite technology, I have asked Hudson Valley Wireless to take the locations that were assigned to Starlink and map out what with the new equipment on his towers they might be able to cover. So one option for us is going to be to use some of that $500,000 remaining in funding to work with Hudson Valley Wireless to do licensed fixed wireless. Similarly, Slick Networks, which has a lot of infrastructure in the county, they refused to participate in the BEAD program. I will also tell you, Spectrum had informed me that they were not going to participate based on the changed federal regulations. They are servicing one county, but even Spectrum wouldn't deal with the rules that went along with this. So I can reach out to Slick Network Solutions and ask them to again, take a look at the Starlink identified locations, map those that are in proximity to their network and see if we can work with Starlink or with Slick to increase their network. My concern there is this is ARPA money. It has to be spent by the end of next year. I'm not sure that we can get fiber deployed in time to do that.
Right.
So this map is where we aren't covered at all right now, because we know that the county is, a big portion of the county is covered.
So all of the circles that you see are eligible locations. Those in dark blue are currently unserved that are going to be getting fiber. Those in yellow are unserved who are going to be getting served.
Well, I think I don't want it to be misleading to the public, though. We're what, 75%, 80% covered in the
So-
county, or 90? We're
So-
pretty high.
Of 30,000 households, by our original count, we had somewhere around 1,200 left unserved. New York State whittled that down to about 1,000. So there are 234 addresses that are going to be getting Verizon fiber. There are 786 that were assigned Starlink. So it's about 1,000. So yes, we have considerably more coverage than we did several years ago, but my fight is to get everybody the best we can get them.
Yeah.
If you're saying the best we can get them is fiber,
Correct. The difficulty is, we've only got $500,000 left. That's not gonna cover all of these addresses. B, there's the time in which we have to spend it. So second best option is licensed fixed wireless. Essentially, satellites in the sky that are a direct connection to a household. Licensed fixed wireless has interim sections where there's hard wiring, where it's either run on a fiber backbone or it's got some fiber in there somewhere. So it's a little more reliable than total satellite connections. So that would be second best option.
Yeah.
Laura, something that occurred to me, last night, because that's what I do when I can't sleep. The conversation we had yesterday about some of the possibilities. I understand you're concerned about having enough time to spend it out by the end of next year. Is there a public-private partnership where we could buy the stuff? If the materials we could get out the door almost immediately. So through a public-private partnership, with like Slick or somebody, could you say, we're gonna give you $500,000 worth of material? You're gonna supply the manpower to deploy it, then we can be spent out rather quickly, actually.
I think that would be a distinct possibility. It's something that I was going to suggest, but that's up to the board because
I was just curious, if it's an option.
it depends on our policies, right? Because it's essentially saying we're gonna contract with you to deliver a service later. And typically, we like to pay for something we have today. But if the board is willing to have me follow up on that, I'm happy to have those conversations. and see
What I
what
thought
we
of
can
is like with ACC and their electrical system, right? Our contribution to that program was we bought the thing, right? We bought the new thing, a new piece of equipment. And we were, in 5 minutes, we had that piece of ARPA money spent, and they were responsible for the deployment. So I wondered if that kind of model would work in the broadband world where we bought the stuff and they, through a public-private partnership, were able to deploy it.
There are 3 providers who have existing fiber networks: Verizon, Slick Network, and Spectrum. So fairly, we should probably talk to them all, see which ones have unserved locations that are near their existing networks. One of the things I will tell you that I also find interesting about this is again, this fiber that's up in Hampton, Granville area is all Verizon. Verizon had originally bid on the southeast corner. It was primarily Jackson with a little bit of Salem, White Creek and Salem thrown in. That area was removed from the second round of bidding because the Connect All office said that they had a viable low-cost bid. Starlink was not an eligible bidder at that time. Verizon confirmed with me that they had bid on it. Somehow down the negotiating road, that went away. I tried to confirm with Verizon, all they would say is the application was rejected because there was a lower cost alternative.
I think you could almost block grant this, where you could tell the three providers, Washington County has $500,000 available, apply for it. And let them tell you how they want to use it.
Again, I don't think that with $500,000, we're going to be able to get 786 connections, but we
Well, we
may
can do
be able,
something.
but we can do something. We can potentially get some households access to fiber.
And I will note for the committee, we have. So the money that we sent to the regional planning board for this program, we have actually distributed, I don't have the count for you and I apologize. But I want to say maybe 23 households have already.
You've got $20,000 in bills on the way, so we've spent close to 40.
Beautiful. So just so the committee knows, we have helped households connect with it. So there is a glass half full story here.
And just to remind everybody, the ARPA money had to have a plan that had to be done a year ago.
Right.
And so now you have to spend the money or give it back. It's not like we get to keep it, so.
Can't change the category.
And you can easily spend $500,000 on broadband. That won't be it.
So,
I would-
tell me, Laura, was that FYI, or do you need action or anything from the
I
committee?
think she wants
If the
support.
committee would like me to reach out to the providers with existing networks and enter into discussion about whether there might be willingness to partner with us, I'm happy to do that with your permission.
Does the board feel comfortable with that?
Pursue it.
Do you don't need a resolution,
No.
you just need it.
Just-
So she's giving you input and, sounds like the committee supports the idea.
Got it. Okay, I'll
Thank
shut
you,
up
Laura.
now. Bye-bye.
So before I think I'm next, to call my meeting to order.
Yeah,
Just say one quick request to the chairman.
okay,
Next month's agenda, can we have the biosolids on that agenda?
absolutely, and by then we should have, everybody should have some questions they have to ask.
And can I make a request that they bring handouts to provide us with information?
I don't know if that needs to be requested, I'm assuming that both you gentlemen would be willing to make handouts to give the committee.
Absolutely.
And I want you to know you've made a lot of progress, because you got people interested now, it's just that the timing wasn't the best for what's happening here.
That's
today.
fine.
And if
I'm
in
not-
any way it looked like I was offending you, I
Yes,
apologize,
sir.
but I
I'm
didn't
not,
think.
I'm not offended in any way. I'm just aggressively pursuing this matter because I. think
And I
it's very
respect that.
important.
And I want to thank you both for coming because you came at an opportune time because we have soil and water and cooperative extension both here, which probably have an added interest in knowing what's going on, and they probably already have information that they haven't shared with us, and they may not come to the next meeting, so.
Well, you haven't called your meeting to order and I'm back in business.
So- I forgot something.
Well, it was a good thing I made that comment, because this way we didn't, you know.
You scared me there. You
Something.
scared me there.
Right. Okay, so last thing, I promise,
It's your fault.
land bank.
Hey, everybody, pay
Land
attention.
bank. So we've had discussions at previous committees about pursuing the option of a land bank, which would take our abandoned, unsafe properties that might be on the tax roll. They could potentially come from the town, they could come from the county. To redevelop them, we've put them back into use as residents or demolish them for municipal safety purposes. So because the New York state legislation only enabled 35 land banks to be created across the state. There are currently 31 in existence, and there are 4 counties out there that we are aware of who are in process of applying for it. So because of that, I've already talked to Dan. Dan has the incorporation paperwork ready. I have worked on the bylaws. We have to work on the application. What we need at this point to keep the discussion moving forward is going to be to move to finance a resolution to create the land bank. But with that resolution, we have to name 5 people to be on the board of directors. So my request to the committee is whether you want to decide now or whether you want conversation with the chairman to name the 5 people who could potentially serve on the land bank. We have to have their names in order to do the resolution, which we would bring to finance on the 9th or 7th, whatever day it is.
Now, are you saying, Laura, we're already in agreement, there's been a motion and action taken to apply for this?
So the committee has already expressed an interest in moving forward. The next steps are, we have to hold a public hearing. In order to hold the
Okay.
public hearing,
Which also
we
need
have
do
to
that.
have the resolution, which includes the 5 names.
And how long are they on the board of directors?
It depends on the term. It's either a 2-year or 3-year term. I just, for everybody's information, I mean, I made a list of those that might be the type, potential candidates. We are in discussion with a statewide land bank attorney. Al and Dan and I have a conversation next week. But the treasurer has been one possibility, but we need to determine, is that too close a relationship? County administrator, director of economic development, any of the supervisors, the vice chair of the board, budget officer. We could appoint business representatives, somebody from any of your town board members that you think might be interested. The LEAP executive director. So somehow we have to come to a decision as to who those 5 people will be,
So-
because their names have to be on the resolution.
So before we apply, we have to determine that. Interesting. Dana, you had a question.
Are there criteria, those 5 people? Like I know with Right to Farm, committees at the town level, they have to be split, different characteristics, like they gotta be an agricultural business owner.
There are not. The only criteria is we can either appoint them by position title, which could be supervisor, and then you could nominate at the end of the term, or treasurer or economic development. Position title, I believe, has a 2-year term, or their appointment term. Appointments by name have a 2-year term, but there's no requirements as to what they have to represent. But given that I think the anticipation is we will primarily be working with properties that would otherwise go to auction. It's county assets, county responsibility, so we're likely going to want strong county representation.
Cassie first.
You need to just move resolution that you'll be presenting these names at finance for the final resolution, or do you need to pick 5 people today? Or do you
We
wait
need
till
them by
finance?
finance, so the question is, how are we going, what does the committee want to do in terms of choosing the names?
You kind of need 2 things today. You need that move to finance and you need the public hearing move. So
Well,
you got 2
Do you
requirements.
have to have the names to?
No, the names can wait until you meet.
The names can wait until
So
finance,
until
when we
finance.
request the public hearing.
Charlotte first and then Dave.
So we are now looking at a situation of 5 applicants for land bank slots, is that right?
Yes.
If we apply,
Well, there are 4, including us,
including us.
including
That's
us,
included.
yes. So
We're not in a competitive situation necessarily yet.
not yet, but there is a process that has to be undertaken to move forward. So is it possible to move this off till earlier in the year? Because yes, this is obviously, there's a lot on everyone's plate right now. It is, but the risk involved is that slots will get taken.
Are they first come, first served slots? Okay, that'd be definitely.
Dave, you have a question?
So I have been involved a little bit in land banks by 5 years ago, and it was not a great thing for the idea to do at the time. But this one here, I think is a great thing for the county to do because it helps do that. And just a suggestion, you might want to have like Bob and Al and Laura sit down and figure out the 5 names.
Sue, you have a comment?
I'll do that. I was gonna make a motion to go to public hearing.
Okay, so
Send it to finance.
send it to finance. So I have a motion on the floor. Do I have a second? Okay, second by Jay. Now, Jay, you have a question or comment?
Yeah, just question, you said you could do it by position, so. Could you do, I mean, economic advisor, or the treasurer, the chair, and two supervisors to be named in the future, that's 5 there.
That would be beautiful.
Okay. Any discussion on this motion? And now I'm assuming you've amended your motion to list those 5. Is that where you are, Sue? Okay, discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, you carried.
You need a motion to move the public hearing?
So we'll do that at finance.
After you get the names. You gotta have the names.
You
Okay,
have to have the name.
so are you done?
I promise.
Which could be bad.
Promise this.
Yeah, I know you'll be back.
I'm calling finance.
Wait
or
till you come back, you dragged us out.
And now, we are gonna start according to this agenda with soil and water. And where are we starting on page? What for revenue and what for
86, I think is the first page. For the revenue,
the,
I believe, yeah.
what page?
86.
It's just the one. Yeah.
Morning. Do you want to just start with your budget and go down until somebody has a question? That'd be the easiest for you.
Just gonna ask if anybody had any questions. We
Is it-
tried to simplify
even
it
easier.
as much as possible.
We got just one line there, right?
Yeah.
Al's got a question.
Yes, Al.
Alright, so I'm gonna ask the same question of you as I'm gonna ask of, our cooperative extension representative in a few minutes. With this year's budget crisis in front of us.
Yeah.
Your increase of 30%, which is only $6,700, may not sound like a lot of money. However, would Soil and Water be willing to appropriate fund balance and hold the funding flat while we work through this crisis?
As long as we don't have to do it on a continuing basis.
Yeah, right now, I'm asking for this year to help us get through this year. If you would be willing to appropriate your fund balance for that 6,700 to give us a year to work through this. And I have to ask just because it's still 6,700. It's not huge, but it helps.
We got down to $100 yesterday. I would almost guarantee you that if you said yes, everybody'd smile and you're all in. That's just how this committee's working. So I want you to know, otherwise you're on the pit. The fire's high.
No pressure.
Good thing you wore a red shirt.
I was just gonna say, yes, we could probably do that.
Does anyone else have any other questions?
Big a hit is it to your fund balance?
6,700.
Out of what?
So we are working to build our fund balance. Our fund balance is currently at 485,000. We are co-located in the USDA Service Center.
I'm glad she didn't say 7,000.
I wouldn't have asked if I didn't know what she had.
Oh.
Yeah, we didn't.
Yes.
So we are not sure where that situation, we may need to look at doing as cooperative extension has and having our own location. We need to do some strategic planning to move forward without possibly buying property and building a a location because very interesting being co-located in a federal office building at this time.
Thank you, and thanks for
And,
dipping
and
in.
to better serve the county, we do need to look into, increasing our staff capabilities, forestry and invasive species are things that, and then, you know, we also have these hot button subjects that we get phone calls about too. That we need to increase our staff capacity to better serve the county residents and if I could be able to add another person that has a lot of forestry and invasive species background, it would be greatly beneficial. We'll be having people that retire in the next few years that will be adding to our burden on that side of the, we'll go from 2 retirees to 4.
Maybe I can go volunteer some hours to equal up to $6,700.
We will pick you up on that.
I thought you might.
Does anyone else have any questions or comments for Rita? You done?
Good work.
Thank you.
And do
Thank
bring
you.
anything back
And I
to
would
us
like to
that
make
might-
one comment is that I've never heard anything but positive statements and discussions about soil and water, so. I think that you're doing a good job down there and we all recognize that.
I do know you help all your own.
Every town will.
Okay, I'm ready
We
to
try.
move on. Are you ready to move on, Brian? We have cooperative extension. Where are we on that? On what funds?
Right below.
Right below.
Thank you.
Agriculture land, 87.
87,000.
87. Oh, there we are. Brian, good morning.
Good morning. Before I answer Al's question, I'll answer Chairman Hankey's question about PFAS and shampoo and solutions. If you all get a hairstyle like mine, you don't use as much shampoo.
You got sunscreen.
Right, yeah, right, you got more, right, yeah. We're, right. And I will,
Yes.
reach out to Cornell and see who's doing research on, the topic that we started with as
Thank
well.
you.
To answer Al's question, as you can see, I had to ask for a 30%, 3% increase, which is about $13,000. Yes, we could absorb that with, fund balance, if we had to.
Would you want Al to ask it? And if you do, you're all done.
That, right. One of the big, as you know, everything's uncertain for us too, as we get federal, state and county funds. Along with that, following Karina, we are moving. We started paying rent in Argyle, August. Right now, we have not moved anything because it's busy time of year. So just to point out, we would pay rent to the county, 25,000 back to the county, so that obviously would be going to a new landlord. Increased expenses that we're not really sure of, including grounds maintenance, phones, like utilities that we don't pay right now at the county. Which is why our rent, if you look at our rent line, is increased from what it has been. And then obviously buying some additional equipment, tables like these, that we will need in the new office. We don't have those in our office. We've used county meeting space, fair meeting space. But we would be able to absorb the
13,000.
the 13,000 and remain level.
Fine.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna,
Do
Jay, you have a question? Go ahead.
you have room for soil and water in your new facility?
We don't, unfortunately. We have, so the board has, one of the problems with office spaces, we don't just need office space, we need program space, and to try to find a facility that allows both offices and program space has been hard to find. So the board really would like to invest in buying property and building a facility, and if that happens, I'm a little nervous with funding situations in the next couple of years. The board feels it's property and building is always a sound investment, the conversation would be to have to talk to other agencies, you know, what would be needed, what's the space requirements, where would we like to be housed? So that is the long-term, but more of a short-term conversation.
Any other questions? John?
He's gotta buy tables and everything. Where's the tables gonna go that he was using?
I wanted to get to that. I'm glad you brought it up.
Yes.
The point is right now, we're not planning on putting anything or anybody else in there where you're at. Is that correct? Am I misunderstanding? It was supposedly the idea that that building was not suitable for use for people.
Yeah, we're gonna empty it, that's for sure.
So rather than put all this stuff into storage, can we give him or give cooperative extension to everything that's in there that you're using now? Or at least take what you feel would be worth taking.
Well, we'll be taking what we own with us, but since the WIC meeting room where the food pantry is, we have not had access to a large meeting space. We've used our lunchroom. As we move into the bigger, so we have not held programs in our office space. We've used other meeting locations to do that. Our new space offers that opportunity to have meetings, classes, and do programs in our space. So we will be looking at buying tables. I don't know what else, you know, with public health, but I don't think, you know, they don't have a large meeting space.
No, but the
Down the
point is,
hall.
do you want any furniture out of there to take with you when you move? That was what I think.
Right, we may, but like, mainly we're looking for tables like this, which are not in.
Well, you want
And-
to upgrade when you move is what you're.
Well, yeah.
Well, we don't have anything like this
Right.
in our.
You gotta
space.
evolve to what you wanna become.
Right.
That's the problem.
Right.
No, you can't have these tables.
Right.
Hell no less.
Brian, you said that your rent was up because you were gonna be paying the county for your new space?
So right now we pay $25,000 to the county for rent. So you'll be losing that income.
Yes.
That will be going to our new.
And that's already taken out.
That's already taken out.
Yeah. I just wanted to make sure you all understood.
Yeah.
You know, traditionally, the rent has gone back to the county.
The rent's going to the new place.
Right.
I just wanna make sure I heard you right.
Yes.
To make sure that our budget's lining up with what you.
Right,
said.
yeah.
It does.
It does.
It does, yes.
Any other questions or comments or concerns on Brian's budget?
And thank you for working with us, Brian.
Yep. Thank you. Now we're back to Laura with egg planning. I'm hoping that this goes just as smooth.
You're gonna give everything back too.
Give anything back, they didn't ask for it. Yeah. We'll see what Laura does.
Okay, preference, whether we do planning or tourism first?
No. Whatever you're prepared to do first.
All right, so we'll start with planning.
What page are we on?
Right at the top of the page.
Up here? So that is on the top of the page, 86.
Oh, bottom of 85.
Oh, I'm saying, bottom of 85.
Oh, we gotta get the revenue.
Oh, we're not even there yet.
Yeah.
20 and 21? Okay, here we go.
So you want revenue first?
Yeah, that makes us feel good first.
Okay. A couple of things on revenue. I can put $22,000 into revenue, into either my budget or county administration budget. The reason for that is that we partnered with the Lake George Regional Planning Board to apply for a grant that would pay us for the administrative work that we are doing on managing the countywide septic system. So the rules that go along with that is we get paid $12,000 in 2025 and $12,000 in 2026. Once we have completed 10 septic projects, we are past the first 10. And we can potentially apply for that money in this year, or we can wait until next year and apply for all of it when it's done. but the revenue was not put into either budget, so we can put it all in 2026 budget.
Nope.
Or some in 2025 and some in 2026.
Oh.
So the only question is, so the grant itself is in my budget. Do you want the revenue in, right now, county admin has been doing the work. But it's probable that we're going to shift that to my department. So do you want the revenue in mine or?
Yours, where the expenses.
Okay, the expense is in mine, so that's 22 in revenue that's gonna go.
So half in 25 and
Right.
half in 26.
Well,
What's gonna go
So
on the
for
plan?
the 26 budget, for this 26 budget, you can put half of it in.
correct.
For 12,000.
12,000, yeah, it's 12,000 each year.
24.
Right,
Well,
sorry.
no, it won't help us with this year.
No, I mean,
12,000 this year.
so you said 22,000.
I misspoke.
It is 12.
It's 12,000 so long as we hit those 10 system replacements. Each 12,000 in each year.
And I would encourage to apply for the first 12.
I just talked to Christy about it yesterday and I'm gonna sit down with her, to work on.
That might be fund balance eventually.
It will because it's unbudgeted revenue.
Maybe we should tell them to use it.
Yes, Sam.
Laura, do we have any systems pending that we know of that haven't been completed?
Yes, I asked her yesterday, so I believe there are 8. So I think the number was around 11 that are completed, 8 that are pending.
So we're close to where we need
To get,
Yes,
so we should be able to, I have to double check that the addresses are correct and everything. But from what I'm seeing, if that's all correct, then we should be ready to apply for that 12,000 now. And then 12,000 next year.
Good.
Second thing on revenue line, I put in, under the, TA grant program, which to remind you what that is. We found an unexpected $25,000 that wasn't really ARPA funding, it was tribal nation funding. That is what funded the sign out front. And then $50,000 of it was going to go to the regional planning board in 2 tranches of 25,000 to create a small business technical assistance program. So that program was put into place last year. Our contract with the regional planning board to manage that program ended in December of last year. And as of now, they have not been able to get enough people to sign up for the program. We're just about done with the first 25,000. So my question to you is, we can either re-up the contract with the regional planning board this year, continue to work and see if we can find small businesses that need assistance, or Al can correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't believe that 25,000 is subject to the same rules.
I'm not aware that it is, but I would have to do some deeper digging because it's a little bit less clear on that distribution.
But the point is that, we have done a number of outreach, trainings, et cetera, and have just not gotten a lot of response to it. And if funding is better used elsewhere in the county, I don't have a problem. We'd have to make sure that the regional planning board was made whole for everything that they have spent, but for what has not been spent, I wouldn't have a problem with putting it back into general.
I'm gonna suggest that we have a conversation with Beth because things used to not getting a lot of response.
Right, I have already talked to her, I already told her that, if there's no demand for this money, then, and she's the one who pointed out that our contract actually ended in December of last year, so.
So what's the board want to do? She's
the money
looking
back.
for direction.
Take the money back.
Now, do you consider
Not
that
taking it
wise?
back, we're just using it someplace else.
Can use it someplace. Al and Brian, is that a wise move?
Well, if it ended last year, it would already be in general fund is my guess.
Yes, because we never moved it, we only moved 25,000 into my budget. Because our contract is that we said you have to spend the first 25,000 and then request the second
My
25,000.
memory is we paid her 25,000.
She has the first 25, but there's still 25 that did not get requested because she didn't spend the first 25.
And that is already showing in the general fund.
It's simply that I
It's
put it into the 2026 department request because
No,
what we
it's-
normally would do is move that money into 2026. What I'm saying is if you want me to remove that and not put it in the 2026 and leave it in the general fund, that's an option. So long as we make sure that the regional.
But that
I don't
actually
see
is
where it's
going
requested.
backwards, right?
I don't see where it's requested at the,
We don't see.
So,
There's zero.
I don't see a request.
It's right here
On page,
on page 86.
Oh, we're down in the,
We're not on revenue.
we're not on revenue.
Oh, sorry.
it's not really-
Oh, I thought we moved on to expense. Sorry.
So now let's go to page 86.
85 actually is where.
85 is where it's been shown.
It's, well, 85 is where it started.
Yeah.
86 is where that number is.
so here's a little bit of good news. She has the expense in the budget request without the revenue, so you either have them both in or both out. Normally, we don't put grants in the request. We do them after the first of the year. So what we would normally do is we would take this 25,000 out. And then in January, we'd add the revenue and the.
Trying to give you revenue.
Now we're just taking it out and. They're not coming back.
So we
Yeah.
went from a loss to a gain right here.
No, we would take it out now, and she would come back in January with the planned use of it, and then budget it in January.
But she's saying she doesn't think they're ever gonna use it, so.
Well, we gotta find
So
somebody
we
to
get
use it.
information from Beth that they haven't exceeded the 25,000. We may need to move a little bit of it. I don't think so, but we need to confirm.
So for now, we can take the 25,000 just out.
I think we're confusing the 25,000. We've already given Beth 25,000.
Yeah.
We're holding 25,000 in like an escrow account at the county. But we got 50 total, right?
No, 25's gone.
25, there was 50 total
Right.
originally, 25 is
You're
gone.
in agreement, all of you.
So we got 100,000, 50 went to the sign, 50 went to
Right.
TA. 25 of the 50 for TA, we've already sent to regional planning board. I'm holding 25,000 still in an escrow account. Right, so I don't want to confuse the 25,000.
Right.
There's a 25,000 that Beth has that she has not gone out yet. There's an additional 25,000 that we're going to send her once she spent out the first 25. So Laura can come back to you in January with a new use of the second 25,000 and use of the remaining original 25,000 that Beth hasn't used. They're two, to me, they're two separate conversations.
Right.
Right, so.
But for in the budget purposes,
For
we
the
can just
budget,
remove that
It needs to come out of the
25,000.
budget either.
That 25,000 just.
So, I just want to track this on, not, the first $25,000 in that discussion, we need to have about this.
Yep.
So we have the 25,000, we're gonna remove that as an expense.
Yes,
Correct. Now you still have 25,000.
yes, sitting in an escrow account.
We've already accepted that grant.
It's not a grant, it's money that we got sent from the ARPA people. That's not
We got
ARPA money.
So we got 25,000.
Yep.
So that would still remain an income.
It's not an income, it's in an escrow account.
It's,
Floats in nowhere.
right.
You don't we haven't recognized it as revenue yet.
We will reduce the expense now and we'll move it in January as revenue neutral because we take the escrow. account.
Exactly what'll happen.
That's when
Absolutely
you
right.
recognize the positive side. So we gotta take the negative out till you make it a negative in 26. And then we'll have the positive side to go with it. And it won't impact. Only thing is right now. negative.
It'll make Al feel better.
With the 25,000.
We can move it
This
and use it,
25,000
it might
actually
just-
helps us.
Helps with a lot.
Is everybody clear with what all this discussion is and can we move on from that?
Move on.
Very good.
Yes.
Got it. So for the overall planning budget, I realize it's a teeny tiny drop in a very huge bucket, but I reduced the planning budget by $500. The reason for that
Wait,
goes
we
back.
need an applause for that. I'm sorry.
Reduced by 25,500.
So the reason for that goes back to the discussion that we had at the last committee meeting, which is interpreting our local law related to use of tourism occupancy tax revenue being eligible for economic development. So we are currently paying the Adirondack Regional Chamber a $500 a month membership. I'm proposing to move that and some other economic development items to the tourism budget, which reduces the planning budget by that $500. So we'll go into the tourism budget in a minute. But I gave you.
So you didn't say
$500.
this,
So you
we're
said
gonna get.
$500.
Well, no, but it's not coming out of general funds.
You said $500 a month.
No, I said $500 in total, sorry.
Oh, okay.
I said it with the tiny.
I did say it for a
I'm
month.
sorry.
Under the category, no good deed goes unpunished, I wanna steal 500 more.
Now what?
So in your mileage expense carpool, you dropped it down from 1,500 to 1,000, but you've never spent even 500. Could we drop that to 500?
You can. I will tell you that the reason that we have not spent the 500 is because we all drive our own personal cars and don't claim the mileage.
Bravo.
Great.
There you go.
Thank you.
Thanks.
So it works.
That we appreciate.
If it is a long trip, we will take a county car, but every single one of us for short distance trips use our own personal vehicles.
Thank you on that.
Education and training, Laura. You won't have to worry about any of that.
Thank you on that sacrifice. Laura.
Dan,
Jay.
Joint planning boards, how come we're up 3,000? Is that under your?
No,
It's not mine.
that's Lake Champlain Regional Planning.
Okay,
There's
all
a
right.
there's a 5-year plan for that one, Jay.
Okay, no, I wasn't sure if it was under.
Yeah, that's Lake Champlain.
I'll bet.
You have more, Laura?
Okay, so that's the planning budget. Any questions on the planning?
Very
Is
good.
that where your training is under?
Bottom of 85. And it's under conference for the.
Oh, conference expenses. We talked about everybody else, so we just need to discuss yours, good, better, and different.
So for conferences, basically what I give permission to staff for is to attend local conferences. So we do not spend money on overnight hotels. It's either within driving distance or we don't go. So these conference expenses are effectively trainings, it's planning, it's tourism, it's economic development. Various American Planning Association, Economic Development Associations put on various trainings. And we do them within driving distance, so we use registration fees, et cetera, not overnight stays.
And again, can I steal 500 more from there? Cause you haven't spent more than 1,500 historically.
She's got 1,900 and
That was her request. She hasn't spent more than 15.
Can you live with that, Laura?
You can always come back to committee if something comes up that's not fun.
So we had this introduction of how and why we're doing this, maybe Laura doesn't know, we didn't get the benefit of our yesterday conversation. We're taking everything down to as close to zero for the budget, and then you come back and ask, there's another conference we need to go to. We're at our $1,500 budget, it's gonna be 300 more, and generally, that's the way we're trying to operate this project.
So we're budgeting for what we know with the anticipation of department heads coming back to committee when there's something additional.
There's a shortfall. Not saying you can't go, we're saying.
And every time
Let
somebody
us know.
comes back, I growl. Which means no.
No, it doesn't mean nothing. I just growl. He likes to growl. You turn into Sasquatch, we know it now.
Hey, okay, give your attention to Laura.
Okay.
For everything.
Yes, it's every department. So that's the bottom of page 85, count 4180.
No.
Okay, tourism. We'll start out with revenue.
And page 18.
18, you said?
Yes, sir.
Page 18, everyone.
So what I have, as you know, we have a voluntary occupancy tax agreement with Airbnb. I put in here that I thought that we were gonna have 115,000 in revenue. Based on the last couple of months, I think that may end up being closer to 130,000. Probably 120 to 130. So for 2026, again, as discussed, I'm trying to find ways to develop economic development content. We are in the process of adding an economic development area to the tourism website, which then allows us to align with our local occupancy tax law, saying that bed tax revenue has to be used for tourism and economic development type purposes. So because of the statewide legislation that mandates that we are collecting not only sales tax, but occupancy tax from all online booking agencies or directly from an entity within the county that is booking rooms themselves. So as you know, we have purchased Deckard software. We're still in the process of getting it set up. But what the Deckard software is telling me is if these laws had been in place in the past year, instead of that $120,000 in revenue, we would have generated $275,000 in revenue. So using that as a benchmark, I budgeted what I think is a pretty conservative number. I budgeted $180,000, which I'm expecting will likely be around $130,000 from Airbnb and around $50,000 from Vrbo. I have seen that although the Vrbo listings tend to be a little bit more expensive and therefore taxed a little higher, the proportion has changed so that the bookings that I'm seeing are about 75% Airbnb and about 25% Vrbo, whereas it used to be 50-50. So the overall budget would consist of that occupancy tax revenue, the statewide I Love New York funding based on the state budget is down a tad from last year, $1,000. So that gives me a total of a $243,000 budget, none of which is county funds. It's all occupancy tax or state I Love New York tax. If for some reason we do not generate that $180,000 in occupancy tax revenue, we have a county tourism reserve fund. I'm prepared to take the funding to get the economic development stuff from that reserve fund if the occupancy tax numbers don't come in as projected. So in no case can we be using any county fund for the tourism.
Good news. Yes, Cassie.
I just want to acknowledge that once again, Laura has brought this in a positive note. And a couple of years ago, when we asked the departments to bring in their budgets with cuts, Laura's budget was one of the only ones that came in and brought it with cuts. And I just want to recognize you're consistently working hard on the budget every year. Not everybody notices it, but it's been done a couple of times since you work hard on it. Appreciate it.
And I can, just to piggyback on that, Supervisor, what you wouldn't know is that Laura continues to work with me during the year. She doesn't do this just a budget thing. She actively works on this literally all year.
That's why I wanted it.
Why I'm getting grayer.
Dealing with me?
And it's probably the last time,
See what that would happen.
it's probably the last time we're gonna see that voluntary line if this all works. It won't be voluntary
So
anymore.
it'll, when you get your final budget, you'll see that the occupancy tax all rolled up into that top line. That voluntary line will actually disappear.
Just combine them together.
Now, I'm not in any way, oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
You finish.
I'm not in any way the oldest person in this room. I can name at least three that are older than me.
Name them.
Well, in 2003, we had economic development, we did not have tourism. And the argument was it would be too costly and it would never pay for itself. And it was nothing we want to enter into. And we had arguments and arguments, and we started it anyway with such a small budget. Look what's paid off from it. And I am so thrilled to see that happen because I can remember I was nervous that it would ever pay off, but I'm a bit of a history nut, so I encouraged it. I supported it, and it was a big gamble. Wow, did it pay off? Now look what we got to spend, and we're doing it without county money. So I'm impressed, Laura, and I think you're the one that brought it to the level that it's at now. And I appreciate your hard work. Sue first and then Jay.
The registration process that will happen from the software package, is that part of this revenue? So
Or that would be used
the
to pay for
way,
software.
so the software is going to cost us $18,000 a year. So that $250 registration fee will pay for it going forward. It was paid for out of the occupancy tax reserve fund this year. So again, that did not cost the county. It came out of the occupancy tax. Going forward, it should pay for itself through those registration fees.
What is-
Supervisor Clary, another way to answer your question, it's not in the budget, but it probably will be. But it will be a revenue and an expense that are equal, so it will be budget neutral, because the fee, at least on paper, will be budgeted to be equal. So it's not currently in the budget, but it
I
will be.
believe it is. I believe Terry put it in her budget, so we might want to make sure.
If she put it in her budget without the revenue, we need to talk
We
to
might
the-
want to look.
we need to talk to Brian about that. If she's got the expense without the revenue, then that's great news, because we'll fix that.
Jay,
I was just gonna piggyback on what you said, Dan. Cassie chaired the committee and then I inherited it. We were right there, do or die. Either we're gonna get rid of this or we
Yeah.
aren't. And I'll tell you, the room was split into halves and it was quite an argument. And it's glad to see how it has evolved here over the last 8 or 10 years. It's really turned around from baby steps to now we're making significant moves. So
back in 2002, everybody, what they wanted was some kind of metric to show that it was the right move. And everybody, the ones that supported it, argued that until you do it for a while, we have nothing, no facts to work with. So that's why it was such a big gamble back then. And then boys, it paid off big time.
I will also say that I believe that the work that we are doing is appreciated by the communities and the towns. To give you an example, we had recently shared a post for an event that was happening in Salem. 5 minutes after that post, they got all kinds of bookings for the event and then sent us a message through the tourism portal saying, this isn't coincidence. The work that you're doing is getting us bookings.
Good, good.
You didn't advertise that raccoon festival. What's going on?
Actually, we are a judge. Amy will be judging up there.
Not only do Sasquatch up, are there
A lot easier to.
now what qualifies her as this issue?
The fact
She
she's
met her.
already called her and asked her.
So Laura, do you have more?
Nope,
Uh,
that's it.
Does anybody have anything for Laura they want to bring up? Do you have anything in finance, Brian?
Nope, just to tell Laura, she did a good job. Thank you very much.
So do we have anything else in this committee that I've overlooked? Anything to bring before ag planning? Meeting adjourned.